Greetings from the mothership, Snorkers. I want to thank you because I got a lot of really lovely feedback on the cooking segment that I did when SNORK got saucy with Governor Cuomo. And I've also gotten some requests to do more of those. So today we're going to head back down to the kitchen and see what develops. So come on, let's go. So we're back in the kitchen, and that whirring sound that you might be able to hear is my oven preheating. Before we get started, can we just talk about the supermarket for a minute? Aside from the obvious hardships of this whole situation, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty calm. I'm doing okay. I'm counting my blessings. But going to the supermarket, wow, it gives me so much anxiety that I'm actually, when I get back in the car after I've peeled off the mask and thrown away the gloves, I'm sweating because people are reaching over you and they're getting close and you don't know what to touch. I absolutely hate it. So when I go to the supermarket, it's like supermarket dash. The minute I step through the threshold, I just want to get out. So I start grabbing things. I brought a list, which is a joke because half the things on my list they don't have. So when you see something, you buy it. All right, so I bought a big bunch of bananas. I'm like, bananas are versatile. I can use bananas. Well, we never ate them. This is only 2 from the whole bunch. So I'm going to show you what you can do with bananas. Bananas are great. If I had caught these a little sooner, there's so many options. I could have peeled them and dipped them in chocolate and froze them for banana pops. I could have mashed them, put them in Dixie cups with a little stick, banana pops. You could mash them and put them in like a baggie or a container or something and use them for cooking when you need them. But what I'm going to do with them today is, it's so simple, I hesitate to even call it a recipe. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to butter the baking dish. And by the way, my oven is preheating at 325. Okay? So, and now I'm going to show you the proper way to peel a banana. Who knew? You peel it like the monkeys do. Peel from the bottom. And then you don't get all those fibers. These guys are pretty far gone, I have to say. It doesn't even want to peel. It just wants to fall apart, and that's fine. It's pretty mushy. This is just one of the things we're going to do. We're going to do this dish, and then we're going to do a super easy banana bread recipe. And the beauty of the banana bread is you can make it now and freeze it and serve it whenever. And I've been doing a lot of cooking and freezing because otherwise I'm cooking every day, which is fine, but sometimes you need a break. And it also gives you backup meals. So, for example, the other day I made fresh pasta. You saw me make the sauce. I also made ricotta cheese. I put it all together to make a baked manicotti. And I made 2 meals out of it. One I served, one is in the freezer for a day I don't feel like cooking. I can just reheat that. All right, let me get another banana. I peeled these already. So you can just put them in the dish like this, or you can slice them in half, which I would recommend. So we're just going to slice them. I'll show you what this looks like in a second. I have my bananas laid out in the dish. You're going to take a little lemon juice, and I would use a fresh lemon, but they were out of them. So I bought a few of these. I figured that'd be a good backup. We're just going to drizzle a little. And this will do 2 things. This will keep the bananas from, allegedly, this will keep the bananas from discoloring when they bake, but I have found that that is not the case. Taste-wise, it brightens up the flavor a little bit. Okay. And now we're going to sweeten it. At this point, you can use honey, you can use white sugar. I prefer to use brown sugar because, as I said, when the bananas bake, they get kind of this funky grayish color, which is not appetizing at all. So I use brown sugar because it kind of disguises it, which is, we're all about disguise. Oh, and a little life hack, I keep marshmallows in my brown sugar and it keeps it from getting hard because the marshmallows absorb all the moisture. All right, and my hands are clean. I've washed them like 20 times today. So we're just gonna sprinkle some brown sugar on top of here. We'll do a little extra because life is sweet. All right, and we're gonna add some nuts. If you like nuts, if you want nuts. If you're allergic to nuts, obviously, you're not gonna do nuts. I like nuts. I'm gonna put some blanched hazelnuts because I found them in my freezer. If you had a grandparent or a parent who grew up in the Depression, you saw how they would save things and use things. They never threw anything out. We're them now. And I'll be darned if I was gonna throw out these bananas. So we don't need all of these. I'm just gonna sprinkle some throughout. And then I'm just gonna dot the top with some butter. This butter got really soft. So we're just gonna do this. For the record, I don't really like baking because I don't like the messy. I don't like it, but I'll do it. Especially when it comes to like flour and I don't like it. Okay. So that's all there is to that. If you like, oh, I forgot something. Cinnamon. We're just gonna sprinkle some cinnamon across the top. This is what our dish looks like. We're gonna put this in the oven at 325 for like half an hour. You'll know when it's ready because you'll be able to smell it. That's another trick. All right, I'll be back. Now it's time to make our banana bread. So I've taken 4 ripe bananas, mashed them in a bowl. I did it with a potato masher, but you can just use a fork. And I'll put all the ingredients in the description. We have melted butter, 1/4 cup, and an egg that I'm gonna beat. Now, pro tip, if you're using melted butter in a recipe that also takes an egg, you wanna make sure your butter is not too warm because it will cook the egg before you bake whatever it is you're baking. You do not want that. So this is at room temperature. But if you're uncertain and you don't want to take a chance, I put the egg in last. So I've added my melted butter. We're gonna add a cup of sugar. This is a 1/2 cup measure. So put in 2. We'll stir it together. Then we add the egg. Okay. Nothing to it. And you will end up with banana soup. All right. Now we're going to measure our dry ingredients. What I want to tell you is when you measure flour, there's a right way and a wrong way, and I'm going to demonstrate it to you. by using a kitchen scale. When you're measuring flour, you don't want to just scoop it out and dump it in whatever it is you're cooking. Because a cup is not a cup is not a cup. And let me show you why. This method of just digging it out and dumping it this is 5.1 ounces of flour. The correct way is you fluff up the flour, you put it in the measuring cup, nice and loose, loosey-loosey. Then you level it off. .4 ounces of flour. So the extra flour that you get from just scooping it out like that, especially if you're making a delicate pastry or something, could be the difference between perfection and a hockey puck. And in this case, it would be the difference between a nice, moist banana bread and a doorstop. So let's properly measure a cup and a half of flour. That's 1 cup. You don't have to measure sugar like that because it's granular and it doesn't compress, but flour, anything with a powdery consistency, that's the proper way to measure. You scoop and level. Now I'm going to add baking soda and salt. Again, I'll put the quantities in the description. I love cinnamon, so I'm going to put a whole tablespoon of cinnamon. Oh my God. Oh, I forgot in my wet ingredients, I forgot to put in vanilla. I don't know. I use vanilla paste. I love it. But it's very expensive, so when this bottle is gone, things are going to change. I'm going to mix that in. And if you like nuts in your banana bread, I add them after everything's been incorporated, but these are also in the freezer. So I don't know about you, but with things so limited and going to the grocery store so stressful, just raid your pantry, raid your freezer. I bet there's stuff in there you don't even remember you had that would still be good, even if it's been sitting there for a long time. Now, a word about chopped nuts that you buy in a bag. I have never purchased chopped nuts that are actually what I consider chopped. I mean, look at this. Does this look chopped to you? No. These are big pieces. So I'm just going to break them down a little more before we add them. Now you can also, instead of nuts or in addition to nuts, you can add chocolate chips, you can add coconut. What else might you put in banana bread? I think that's about it. Any kind of nuts you like. I happen to be using pecans because that's what I had on hand. Now, a word about sifting. I don't ever sift my flour because I think sifting is for suckers. I just use a whisk. I've got all my dry ingredients in here. Just spin it around so it's fully incorporated. No need for sifting, because sifting is messy. And again, this is why I don't like baking. It's too messy. That's done. Now, we are going to add our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients. just dump it in. Stir it till it's completely mixed. You don't have to work it to death, just until it's all moist. Put a little muscle into it. It smells really good. Now it's almost completely incorporated at this point, so I'm going to throw in my pecans. Yeah, put them all in. Why not? So now we've got a big, lumpy, nutty batter. It smells really good. It's not even baked yet. All right, and we're gonna put it in a buttered pan, but I'm not gonna butter mine. I'm just gonna spray it with a pan coating spray, which again, messy. So what I do is I always take the pan and I set it in the sink. Clean sink, of course. And I spray it in the sink so it doesn't get all over the counters. Voila. Okay. Get it all. Waste nothing. Put this in a 350 oven for between 50 minutes and an hour. So here's what the SNORK version of the Bananas Foster looks like. At this stage, it's done. You can eat it just like this. You can serve it over ice cream. You can serve it under whipped cream. There is one more step, if you wish. I think it's gratuitous. You can pour a little orange liqueur in here and flambe it, which personally I don't think it adds anything to the taste, but at dinner parties it's a big wow. So that would be the only reason to do it, in my opinion. But none of us are having dinner parties right now, right? Because that would be selfish and irresponsible. So we're not doing that. Our banana bread is out of the oven. It smells so good. It took almost a full hour. Check it at 50 minutes. You'll know it's done when you insert a knife in the center and it comes out clean. Simple. When I take it out of the oven, I run a butter knife very gently around the outside, and then I let it sit for 10 minutes. And now comes the moment of truth, which is always a little unnerving. We shall keep our fingers crossed. Ready? Here we go. Come on. Yes. Sorry. Ooh, that's hot. All right. There we go. On a serious note, I know I gripe and joke around about going to the supermarket, but it is not lost on me that there are many people who do not have access to any groceries and don't have an income right now. So while you're raiding your pantry and you're looking for what you can whip up by what's in there, maybe if there's some dried goods or canned goods that you can spare, please consider dropping them off at your local food pantry or shelter. That would be really great. It's a good time to be generous. And until I see you next time, enjoy your bananas.